Welcome to part 3 of day 16. Um, I'm going to try to get this done very quickly. It's a little bit later in the day than I wanted to get this going, but I had to work a few ideas out with it. So what you see before you is part of the finished product, and I do mean part. These stickers do not stay stuck very well at all. So you'll probably have to use either some, well, I would suggest not using UV resin because it did not want to cure very well on that base. And there's no way I can stick this entire thing, stickers and all, into a tall anything, glass of water or whatever. So, yeah, don't use UV. Instead, when you're done, you set it on its side and you go ahead and put epoxy over the top. Let that cure and you keep going for all 6 sides. Yes, that would be a pain in the rear end, but it also solves any uneven edges or underpours and prevents having to sand, which I do have sandpaper right here, extra fine grit, and to sand it, all you do is, and this will make marks, so you want to go as slow as you can to sand that off. Feel every little once in a while, and then repeat until you're happy with that being gone. Now the reason why I will do this for the base is because the base doesn't get seen as well, and you can hide it a lot better. So that's all you do, and I suggest you go ahead and, after you get it down to a certain level, only one way. Kind of like you would with fingernails. And then the corners, of course, are a little sharp, so you want to just drag it down each corner. And there you go. And you can take a buffer with, like say a rotary tool, and you can go ahead and buff along the edges, and that will help make these marks disappear. So I just wanted to show you that part. And then what you see right here in front of me, I have decided that these lamps don't go together completely well, and I'll show you on top here. This is glued on already. On top here, if you can see this offset right here where my fingernail is up and down on it, it did not line up with all 6 corners. Only 2 corners lined up, and the rest look terrible. Well, you can't have that if you want to make a quality product. So this little thing right here is my beginning of a template, which is kind of something like this, a base or a top, and it'll fit down in here. You put it in the middle as well as you can, and then you pour silicone molding silicone on it, and you allow that to set for 24 hours, then demold it. You can use it. However, this base was too small. I am not creating a new base. What I want to do instead is create a template in here so that when the mold is made, you can set this in your template about like that, or in your mold once it's made, and be able to pour resin in around to a point where it just overlaps the meeting here. I know it's difficult to see. I'll bring that up. So you see how those and those corners are offset like they are? I only got 2 to meet up. And that's because of unlevel pour. That's my problem. If you can get it perfect, you're golden. But I don't think most resiners will ever be able to manage to get this perfect. So I'm going to create the perfect top. And all it is, since the stickers are on here already, is to level out this top, take away all of this sharp edging, and my plan is once the mold is done, I will turn around and dip this into the mold itself. After pouring a little bit of resin, I want the resin to get slightly sticky, and then I will have this upside down in that little sticky resin, and I will get it leveled and let that cure so that it covers up about, oh, I don't know, the same distance, I think, of that lid. So it'll have a little bit of gap, or not gap, but a little bit of raise here and a solidifying effect around. It'll be round, it won't be hexagonal, but I'm fine with the round. I'm not very good at hexagons. Never have been. Nope. Kind of dived in geometry that way because I couldn't make the shapes perfect. But, so what I'm going to do is mix up some resin. I'm going to put a little bit of mica in it in order to see what I'm doing. It's difficult at times when you're pouring clear resin into a clear object to see where the level is. Now I have to mark a level on the side of this as to what I know that I need at the bottom, or the thickness I'm going to need, so that when I fill the fill the resin in, the epoxy, that it will go to the level I need so that the silicone mold will be as deep as I need. So I'm going to let you go. I'm going to mix up some resin and I shall return. Alright, I brought you back for a moment. I have both A and B warming on the mat. That'll release most of the bubbles before I use the stirring power to put more in. And I decided I do want a colored template so that I can see as it raises to the mark I put on here. And I did cut this down a little bit, and I have a mark right there. That's how deep I want that resin poured. And I am using the epoxy resin to do this instead of trying to make a clay template, because I do want my mold to be shiny. So I'm going to go ahead and pause you again, get this mixed up, and be back. Alright, we're back. This is the color of mica I chose, and it is a gorgeous color. Now, I did, of course, introduce some bubbles in here, and they're coming to the surface right now. So what I'm going to do is, I should, excuse me, let this sit for a few more minutes to release some more bubbles, but it's going to be sitting anyway. So, by the way, the mica I used was from Temu, and it looks like this. And there are no names for them. It just says mica powder pigments. And this is the 0.35 ounce, which is 10 gram. Alright, so to not introduce any more bubbles, we're going to pour down the stick. That'll help break up those bubbles. I'm just hoping I made enough to fill at least the minimum. Mr. Assistant, can you take a look at my mark and see how close I am?
There.
I'm there. At top or bottom of it? Alright, I'm going to go ahead and pour the rest of it then. Now remember, you can have your resin poured as deep as you want to if it's a deeper mold. So I'm going to go ahead and make this the deeper mold. Go ahead and scrape out what's left. Move the stick real slow at this point if you don't want any bubbles. Let it drain off. And just scrape what's left. And yes, I mixed this extremely well, just to make sure I'm not getting an off mix anywhere. You really are not supposed to scrape the sides at all, but I do, because most of the time I know I'm not on an off mix. Alright, I'm going to hand this to my assistant to clean out real quick here. Now, this is slightly over the mark I put, which is really good. I'm going to bring this to the middle of the heat mat. And I cannot, because this is very thin plastic, and yes, you can use thin plastic as a mold, so to speak, for your resin. And I know that this is going to be slightly out of round at this point right here, because that's where the junction is. And all I'm going to do right now is keep an eye to make sure nothing breaches around the side there. Now, of course, you can't use any flame here at all because you will melt these little acetate sheets. So, I do have a spray alcohol. I'm not worried about ruining this mold because it gets thrown away anyway. So, a couple little spritzes. 1, 2, and then we're going to see that reaction mica does with alcohol, which I think is so totally awesome. And yes, I do have some shadowing going on, so I'm sorry about that. Let's go ahead and turn this light a little bit more here, a little bit less shadow. Okay, now I'm going to watch for bubbles for probably the next half hour, so I'm going to pause you while this gets on a 2-hour timer, and I'll just come back and forth to check. Let me get my mouse real quick. My assistant has resin on his hands. Alright, back in a few. I had to bring you back. I wanted to show you this reaction in the mica. Now I started seeing what might be a breach on this side. That's why you see the paper towel here. It is dampened with cold water. I did turn the heat mat off because the epoxy produces its own heat, and unfortunately my assistant brought me the glue gun that uses low temp glue, which means it's a good possibility I may be cleaning up epoxy everywhere. So I'm going to be sitting here for the next hour or two while it starts to set. But I wanted you to see what looks like if you looked in a microscope in a petri dish like blood cells. I thought it was pretty cool. It's not the normal reaction I usually see with mica and epoxy, so I wanted to share that with you. So it's going to turn out to be a really pretty template. Alright, back soon. Alright everybody, I'm going to leave this on time lapse. I stopped the first portion of this video so that I could do this, and I will speed this up in editing. Alright, I'm going to be quiet now while this works its magic, because that's just too cool to pass up. There will be 2 of us sitting taking turns, you won't be probably hearing any of this because it's going to be so time sped. It's going to sound like chipmunkies everywhere, or worse. But I figured you guys would like watching this. Alright, I'm back. This is set. And so right now I'm just going to be demolding it. Well, so to speak. And then this is from Temu. A and B. This is the 30 hardness silicone, which means that it'll be a stiff mold like most of the molds that come from Temu. But I'm not doing intricate anything. This is just this. I will, before I get to make this mold, have to sand this disc. The heat ended up warping it so it warbles. And then I noticed somehow something went really weird, and it has a dip right here. Let's see if I can get that shown. Well, maybe if all the light was off of it. But it's right there. So I'm just going to demold this real fast. And it's pretty much straightforward and easy. You rip everything off. You're not going to be reusing it. If you'll notice, I took precautions and used plastic. So the bottom of the mold is absolutely shiny. But with that warp and warble in there, that's not going to be good. So it will have to be flat sanded. The top will have to be flat sanded. And I'll see what I've got left over when that's done. Hopefully it'll be enough. Tape is so difficult to do. And yes, I had a small breach just right there. And along this edge it tried. So, oh, this stuff is so difficult. Well, I'm going to take it back around, grab my X-Acto blade here. And we're going to cut the plastic itself. Who's not understanding why it's not coming away from the inside? It should have. It's trying. Haha. Now we just cut the tape. Easier said than done most of the time. Oh my goodness. Alright, let's get this part cut. Now that we got it away from the resin. That should help a lot. If I can get it cut. Oh my gosh. What a pain in the rear end ski, huh? I don't want to make a gouge in the side. There we go. Oops. It grabbed and ripped. Let's try if we see if we can get that off of there from the other side. There we go. Now this has got some beautiful color all the way through it. And there's the bottom. Yes, it did grab the red marker and some of the black. But wow, it is gorgeous. I absolutely love that color. It works wonderfully. And you can actually see through the bottom of it to a point. My hand is still there. I don't know if you can see my hand moving underneath there. But, alright, now what I'm feeling is a high ridge because I could not get my strip short enough to take care of that. There's some of that leakage right there. Get rid of that. Let me get rid of this out of the way. And now let's see how that mold is going to sit on top, or the piece from the mold. Sits pretty good. And with a hard resin, or not resin, but silicone like I'm using, that will work out wonderfully. It's too bad it's got to be sanded first, so I'm going to let you go. I was hoping to make this actually day 17 video, but it's not going to happen because I still have to sand this down. That's going to be a while. It really is. It needs to be a little bit harder for that because these sides are a little flexy and they won't sand down very well. How I got that dip here, I just really don't know. Weird, but it is hard. Ready to go. That'd make one heck of a coaster, wouldn't it? Alright, so. That's odd. That can't be a cat hair stuck in there. Otherwise it would have been all the way in the resin. Odd. I think it's just something stuck there. Okay. That's all. Alright, I'm going to stop you here. I've got a lot of video splicing to do today when this gets done, but I'll be back as soon as this is sanded and polished. Okay, Octoberween struck again while my assistant, my husband, was moving the power strip closer and around to help me gain some more length out of this, because these are extremely short cords. He hit the power cord or the power switch for my computer. So I was talking and I went zip, and I'm pretty sure I showed you what it looked like with it upside down. So as I was saying, this experiment from Halloween has come to its conclusion, as rightfully it should have many days ago. However, I'm accepting what's going on. That's life. Life works. So, thank you all for watching. Thumbs up if you liked this adventure in terror. And thank you to all my wonderful subscribers. And welcome to all the new coming subscribers. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, maybe your curiosity will be piqued into what kind of unnatural horrors will happen again later on for the rest of this series. I am already behind on video 19, however, it is a quick project, or I'm going to not say that anymore. It is a project that will be uploaded as soon as it is ready, but it will at least be ready to view on its day, which is tomorrow's the 19th. Okay, so it took me 3 days. No, hold on. Today's the 18th. I began this project on the 12th. So, I believe that's 6 days to complete this. And all that's left, like I said, is to glue this portion of the base onto here. I just want to determine where I want the main character appearance to be. Oh, and to epoxy all of these stickers down. Anyways, comment and share. Peace out, everybody.